And like, maybe this is the dark romance girly in me coming out, but like chopping a single hand off.
I mean, like,
it's not like it could be so much worse.
He's got
right?
another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he has a spare. He has two of them. It's fine.
I'm Melody Carlisle.
And I'm Sabrina Bradley.
And this is Heaving Bosoms. This is the podcast where best friends recap romance novels and other kissing media that makes us swoon, snark, and refills our cups.
Whether you've read the book or are coming in blind, we'll lay bare every delicious scene and revel in the tropes and subgenres that make romance amazing.
All right, listener, strap in and strap on. Headphones are highly recommended. Hello, Sabrina.
Well, hello.
Wow, hi.
It's been a hot minute since we recorded last.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it?
It's been 9 days.
Holy shit. Yeah, you're right. But we get to look forward to recording part 2 of Hofus in like 3 days. Hell yeah.
Have you started it yet?
No, I haven't started it yet.
I haven't either.
But I'll listen to it twice before we record for sure.
Which still boggles my mind. I will not be. I will just read it.
Yeah, you'll read it. Listen, man, different strokes for different folks. I don't know that I'll know anything that happens in this book because I had to read it with my eyeballs.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we've started recording. We got bamboozled.
We got suckered.
We're
suckers.
So fucking okay. So I hit about page 320 in this book, and I was like,
right about there.
I don't know.
There's
only like 6 chapters left, and like in another book, 6 chapters is like a lot of the book.
Tidy bow.
Not in this book. Chapters in this book are like 2 or 3 pages long, right? These are short chapters.
Yes.
So when we only have 6 chapters left and we are in such a hopeless place.
Oh my God. We're the most hopeless place. This bitch is literally like, she has been tortured to sickness.
Yeah.
He put her there.
And then all the way up until I start the final chapter in the end. I hit chapter 57 and I had to go back and look at this, like the index to be like, there's got to be more chapters, right?
Yeah.
Well,
turns out no.
Fucking what?
4-book saga.
4
books.
I can't. Mel.
I can't either. I can't.
I loved book.
Book really
was fantastic.
Book.
Book was fantastic, but I cannot commit.
Especially if it doesn't have audiobooks. It'll take me 9 months to read them because I mostly eyeball read right before I go to sleep. So I'll read as much as I can until the melatonin kicks in and knocks me out, when I like drop my phone or whatever. And then even then I have to go back 3 pages to make sure I know what's happening the next day.
I just cannot. I say as I have already downloaded the second book and I'm 4 chapters in.
You're 4 chapters. Meanwhile, okay, so listener, when I'm eyeball reading, especially on a deadline, like I am looking at those percentages hard at the bottom of that Kindle, all right? And as we were going, I was like, oh my God, I'm 93% of the book in, like whatever. And then I turn the page, book is done. Because it turns out the rest of book is maybe the longest author's note I've ever seen. And then the first chapter of book 2.
Well, so I finished book, and I was like, I can't fucking do it. I'm not in a place right now where I can do a 4-book saga.
And then you one-clicked it?
And then I read the first chapter at the end of this book.
No, you can't. You can't. That's how they get you.
I did. And then it was so easy. It's on KU. I was just like, read next.
I know.
Read
Did
next.
you check out that dedication?
Which one? The first book?
Yeah. Do you want me to read it to you? Because it'll hit you straight in the face.
I remember reading it, and I remember being like, ugh, I feel like I just got sucker punched.
All right, listener, here we go. For anyone who's ever been told they were too much. For everyone who's ever mistrusted themselves. Ma'am.
Oh, boy. By the way, listener.
Clare Sager.
So
don't come at me like that so early.
So, listener, we came in hot. Our banter is just book today.
It's just book. But before that, we do have beautiful people who have joined the Patreon, and we cannot forget them. We're going to shout them out for sure. But yeah, no, we have to go straight in because also Suckered hard. Probably will. Download second book. Again, it'll just take me 9 months to read it because there's no audio.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's why it took me, I motored through the first, 6 books of Elizabeth Stevens' Varaxia series, the Zaveri Mates series, and then it took me, took me 3 months to read, the last 3 books because it was eyeball reading. So it's going to be like that with this one. Okay. Hey, we have a Patreon. We do super fun stuff over there. I finally got to watch She's the Man. I watched She's the Man for the first time as a 37-year-old woman, and it was all thanks to the watch parties we have on Patreon. And we've got some people who joined it. So we want to say hey and thanks and welcome to Geeky Gal and Julia F.,
to Maria L. and Melina,
Jessica D. and Caitlin,
Stephanie A. and Hannah B.,
Tanya P. and Mertes DF,
Emma S. and Aaron D. Y'all are all the best.
Yeah, thank you so much for supporting us. It's really, really incredible.
All right, back to this fucking book that suckered us.
Okay, we got suckered hard. I love the heroine.
I also had no idea. I had no idea going into this.
Context.
I had no idea what I was walking into. And finding out that this was a fantasy historical pirate romp?
Yeah. And it came out in 2020, I think. The first book came out in 2020.
Delightful.
Yeah.
So we open up hot because Lady Vice, who is our heroine.
I love heroine.
She is a badass. And we literally open up on this book with her marooning a bunch of slavers.
Yeah.
Because she and her pirate crew, it's not actually her crew, but she and the little pirate crew that she's a part of, took over this slave ship.
Yeah, she talked the captain into really going after these enslavers. And they liberated everybody. They're marooning these fucks. And then she also convinces the captain to include the would-be enslaved people in and profit sharing with them. Instead of just splitting all the profit amongst the crew. I fucking love her.
Okay, Vice is one of my favorite heroines that I've read in a hot minute.
Same. She's so sex positive. She knows exactly who she is. She is funny as fuck.
Oh my god, she is so funny.
She's got some sass on her that I really enjoy. She's great. And her goal is to be a ship captain. Not only is it a goal, but she's put the plans in to make it happen, including, but not limited to, talking to her current captain, who used to be a friends with benefits situation.
He is
and
just
having him
such a piece of shit.
He's so the worst. Having him promise that he's the next time they come upon a vessel that would be good for pirating, that she'll get it and she gets to start her own crew. And then it's it's his fleet or whatever. Also, this took me back to Dangerous Tides in such a delicious way, because that's also when Katie started her Hunt on Dark Waters universe with the FF pirate situation that she had. God, is so good. And that's also a fantasy pirate thing. It's really yummy.
And so this is when we learn about like the fantasy aspect of this, because apparently Lady Vice is Fae-blooded and part
She's a sea
Fae,
witch.
and she's got ocean powers, and she can do the tides, and she can do the currents, and she can bring in the storms, and she can do all of these cool fucking things. And then,
Which makes her a big asset on a pirate ship, because she can be like, do we need to get away from that military vessel? Tides come with us. Like, yeah, she can slow down their ship and speed up her ship. Oh, I love it.
So I know that this isn't how it actually happens, right?
Okay,
But like,
okay.
I totally envisioned her as a waterbender, right? From like
Yes.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, when she's like,
Yeah.
"We're going with the current. We're
Uh-huh.
doing the watery things." But anyway, we end up in town. To be clear, listener, there's a lot of zippy zap in this book, right? You'll like
Ooh.
go from chapter to chapter, and it's
It'll be
been
like
6 weeks.
6 weeks later, and we're now in a totally different port.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing right now. We're in a port.
Ooh, and the
She
sexiest
sees-
boat,
Oh, she sees the boat of her goddamn dreams.
the Venetrax.
Ooh,
Venetrix?
it
Whatever.
is sleek, and it is compact, and it is sexy, and it is perfect for her first captaincy,
Mm-hmm.
which is a word that is used in this book, captaincy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Turns out
she's got
that ship is
Uh-oh.
owned by a pirate hunter
a famous one.
looking for Lady Vice.
Yeah, that's the bounty he's currently working on. And can I just tell you, listener, her bounty is so big because she is like so impressive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they sing songs about her. There's a
the
pirate
song
queen
of the pirate
song.
queen.
Be still my heart.
So they're one of my favorite. There's a steampunk song
Ooh.
that is Val the Pirate Queen or something like that, and I was just thinking about it the entire time I was reading this
Is it
book.
like a steampunk sea shanty?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, it's pretty fabulous.
sounds incredible.
I'll have to find a link. I'll send you a link to it. It's like
please.
it's like Sunset Val the Pirate Queen or something like that, and it's just
Ooh.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she decides that she is going to get some information. She, in her past life, was a lady, and she's going
she was
to
like an
go...
earl's daughter or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep, something like
she
that.
knows which fork to use, okay? Everybody can fuck off.
She also knows what fucking dagger to use to cut your tongue out. Like, she's constantly threatening people the entire
Yes.
fucking book.
And she just stole a brand new couture dress, okay? So she's even ready to dress the part. And she's going to go to the governor's ball because the governor did invite that pirate. Oh, also, he's a naval pirate hunter from, like, not Britain.
Albion.
I know, but it's not Britain, you know?
Yeah.
Like, with a
Well, okay,
hyphen in between.
So it was so funny to me that there's actual places in this book, like Nassau.
Yeah.
But then it's just like alternate universe, I guess.
Well, and I use not Britain with the hyphen specifically because that's how she refers to a lot of the countries in the author's note. I skimmed part of the author's note and she'll be like, this is like not the Caribbean, you know? So yeah, it makes sense. Anyway, she goes to this ball and she does see a sexy man.
Oh,
he's
and she
got
goes
some dark hair.
She goes and gets her flirt on. He's got a scar
and a white
and he's
streak.
got a white
He's got a white streak.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's
And
on his forehead?
I pictured it like it's described as what, like just above his left eye, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's one of those swoopy boys. He would have been the most dramatic emo kid.
He's a main character is what he is.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
That's what that hair color means, is that you're a main character. That just makes me think there's like some Tumblr post or like some shit on the internet at some point where it was like, do you think that like parents in an anime, like they give birth and the kid comes out with pink hair and they're just like, fuck.
Yeah, main character vibe.
This is a main character. This is gonna suck.
Okay, so I'm so sorry. I have to do a side quest really quick because randomly my kids have fallen in love with Too Sweet by Hosier. And I sort of by proxy got an obsession with Hosier last year when Jenny was writing her hero and like basing it on Hosier and stuff. Anyway, so I was texting with them being like, my kids are completely and utterly obsessed with this song. And Valor in particular, she will sing it with Michael, but she will only allow him to sing the "You're Too Sweet for Me" part. And she, the 5-year-old, is the one who sings like, take my whiskey neat and my coffee black and my bed at 3. And then her dad gets to sing "You're Too Sweet for Me." And so I texted this to them, and Katie was so funny. She was like, I love the main character vibes that Valor brings to everything she does.
Accurate. Valor is the main character. We are all just side characters.
Truly.
Like,
oh my God, I cannot with her.
Absolutely the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay,
she turns out is wearing the dress that the governor's daughter had purchased for this ball. That's the dress that she's wearing. And the governor's daughter sees her and goes and gets some guards. And she, meanwhile, Lady Vice is like, oh, interesting. Oh, you're the pirate hunter. Oh,
yeah,
nice.
she's doing a big flirt with him.
Oh, well, hello. She's like, oh, it's a little bit hot. Will you open this window? And he's like, well, yes, I am a big, strong man.
Yeah,
I'll open this window for you. And then she's like, thank you so much. And then she does promptly leap from the window, climb down the side of the building to escape the ball, because now she quote unquote has the information that she needs. And then she gets back to the ship. She gets back to the ship, and her best friend Perry is like, so like, to be clear, all of the information that you got is that he's a pirate hunter and he's hot.
She's like,
that's it?
No, I got more than that. I just can't really tell you exactly what that is. It's so great. And they have some really good banter, and he can tell that like she can't help but wax poetical about the movement that you feel on the high seas compared to like how it feels to be standing completely still. And he's like, wow, I don't know how a gentlewoman really knows about all that. And she's like, I was in a boat one time.
I was in a boat one time in my life.
It's great.
Meanwhile, she's the most infamous pirate of her time. Like,
and the governor comes over and she's like, so you met Lady Vice, huh? And he's like, what? No, what? No. And then he realizes that she hoodwinked him hard, and she did it sexily.
Oh boy, he is so horny for her from get.
Yes.
He's like, absolutely. I want to touch up on those curves. I want to smooch on that face. So anyway, he's now meandering the docks. It's the next day, and he has to do something about this, right? He cannot let her show him up like this.
Yeah. It's embarrassing.
Frankly, it's embarrassing. So Q, he learns a very important thing. And this is, I guess, going to be more important later in the other books. But she and Fitzroy, who's the captain of her ship, are obsessed with Drake.
He's an infamous treasure hider.
Treasure boy from like 200 years ago.
He did treasure stuff, and he apparently left that treasure somewhere, but nobody knows where, and nobody knows if he even actually did that. And it's fine.
Yeah.
Boy, I thought that was going to be a much bigger part of this plot.
Well, yeah, apparently it comes back for the next
book
3
2.
fucking books. Yeah. So the groundwork has been laid, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So Blackwood's like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be a big bad pirate hunter, and I'm not even going to have to work that hard, because now that I know they're into Drake, I'm going to lay a trap.
I'm going to lure him in.
Yeah.
He's going to leave some clues and stuff, but she, meanwhile, is like, it's going to be really hard to get past him if he sees that we're leaving. And so I'm just going to do a tiny bit of a sabotage. And so she cat burgles her way through all of his sails and cuts all the ropes, but like leaves them leaning in a certain way so you can't see it from below.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets into his office. Can I tell you the goddamn pins and needles I was on? I was sure somebody was going to catch her on the side of the boat and then in his office.
Yep.
But instead, she gets like what she thinks is like a Drake clue. Because I guess he was going to leave it somewhere, but he doesn't even have to. She just grabs it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes back to her ship and she shows Fitzroy. Does that happen before or after they leave? After, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the way that she leaves is their boat is leaving, right? Their boat is leaving the harbor, and she's just standing in her
She's doing a pageant wave.
Red fucking super vibrant pirate's coat.
Yes.
And she's on the top of this ship, and she's looking at him.
Her dark hair is waving.
Oh my God. I was into Lady Vice, okay? Like
you are a mere mortal.
Mere mortal.
Yeah. And so she's like smirking at him. And she's like, "Oh, goodbye, Captain Pirate Hunter. I'll see you never." And he's like, "Bitch, please."
He's like, "Get the sails." And then he there's just no sound. And he's like, "What's wrong?" And he turns around and all of the sails are just
falling down. They're just falling all the way down. Oh my God.
And he's like, "Son of a bitch."
He realizes
it's beautiful.
that because I think she winks at him afterwards.
She does. Hot. She's like, "Oh, hard to sail. Oh, goodbye.
Did somebody do a tiny sabotage on you?
Oh,
goodbye.
Oh, bye-bye." So then they find out that the treasure clue for Drake that she got was fake. And she and Fitzroy end up in a little argument. And this is,
I know. I should have clocked it from the beginning.
From the beginning. But like Fitzroy is all pissy because like all of the songs are about her. She's the one who has a 1,000 pound thing on her.
Bounty. And
like he doesn't. And she tells him, which like, I'm sure he didn't handle this well. And guess what, listener? He does not.
No.
She tells him, "You don't get songs because you're not worth it." And he says, "You'll never be captain because all you'll do is lead your people to their death."
Wow.
And she's like, "What the fuck do you mean I don't get to be a captain? You promised me." And he's like, "Well, sucks to suck."
Yeah. So as they're sailing, since he hasn't been able to like set the trap for Drake or whatever, that's not a plot point anymore. They all of a sudden see a merchant ship and ooh, it looks heavy. It looks like there's a lot of good stuff on there. And she is like, "Hey, the captain's kind of mad at me, so I need somebody else to tell him about this thing and convince him to go after it." But she's like, "It's fine. It's only got like 8 cannons on it. We can totally take them." So they're going now. They're going to get it. And it turns out it does have way more cannons than she knew about in her haste. So when they go by to like, broadside them or something, pirate terms, as they do like almost the first shot, they see a flare go up on that ship and she's like, "Weird, but carry on." And she's ducking and dodging via the ocean currents. She's ducking their shots of the cannons. And then finally they end up alongside them and then they board. And she notices that all of the people who are fighting in the front lines are being forced to by a guy with like a whip or something crazy. So she's like, "Okay, take out that fuck." And she kills him dead. And then the thing about Vice is that she always goes for the leaders and she hopes that everyone will surrender because she doesn't actually like the carnage part of piracy. She'll do it, no problem, no questions asked. But if she possibly can, she would rather spare lives, especially when people are clearly being forced to fight and they don't want to.
Yes.
So she murders that guy to death and then the first mate gives up and she's like, "Yeah, huzzah, here we go." Except around the fucking corner of the island.
Sails!
It's the Venatrix.
Blackwood. So the entire time I was reading this book, I could not stop thinking about Assassin's Creed.
Ooh.
And it made me want to go pick up Assassin's Creed and play Assassin's Creed whatever, it's a Black Flag or something like that.
The
Whatever
pirate
the pirate
kind
one.
of,
Oh boy, it made me want to go play that game so badly.
I
was like, I'm gonna take these pirate ships. I'm gonna go get all these people. I'm gonna go fuck up those merchants. I got this. I'm a lass of the seas.
Yeah. So then Blackwood is there and he boards them, except that because she's a clever little minx, she and all of the crew jump on to the original merchant boat because now Blackwood's boat is like making a U kind of a situation. It doesn't matter. Basically, the merchant boat is broadside facing Blackwood's boat, the Venatrix. And so they all hop on that merchant boat and they completely...
Boom!
They just shoot all into the Venatrix, shoot it all to hell. And oh man, Blackwood's mad, but they've already boarded. And so they're over there. And then he says, Fitzroy, Captain, this is your cue. We're making a deal. Parlay, I think he says. That's the one. And she's like, Parlay? You're a Navy boy.
Pirates.
What are you doing? And then he's like, no, we're going to do a backdoor deal. And Fitzroy's like, yeah, you're right. Let's go into my office.
So then Fitzroy agrees to become a privateer for the Queen, which is something she has been trying for years to convince him to become a privateer. But then some fucking big dick swinging motherfucker rolls up on the boat and it's fine now. And, like, I understand why. Like, once we learn everything at the end of this book, like, I understand. But also, like, fuck you, Fitzroy.
Mad. Ooh, I would be so hot. Yeah, so they're privateers now. And then we get into his perspective and we find out it's a big ruse. So everybody else is legit a privateer, okay? Fitzroy's a privateer. Everybody else is a privateer, except hers is not actually real. What Blackwood's going to do, because I guess new privateers need to have like a representative from the Navy to like make sure that they know the ropes and they do what they're supposed to do instead of like just being legit pirates. And so he's like, I'm going to be on the ship for the next few months.
Hang on.
The whole plan. Sabrina's being attacked mightily.
No, I said, hang on. We missed a very important part.
What did we? Oh, she pats
because
him down.
Right before he is allowed to go into the office with Fitzroy, she doesn't do a full pat down with the intention of flustering him, and she does fluster him, and she also flusters herself because
she gets flustered in the process.
He doesn't need padding to have said like this beautiful, sleek, muscly silhouette.
He fills out that coat in all the ways, and look at those thighs.
So hot. I think I just
He's really hot.
I think I just like a boat person, you know?
They do good work, I hear, you know? Yeah.
Go with knots.
Well, and I love like later on, spoiler, they end up kissing at some point, listener. And she ends up seeing him shirtless at some point. And I love that she's just like, you are gorgeous. You know that? And it gets him all flustered because like boys don't get those kind of compliments a lot.
I have that highlighted because it made me so happy.
So anyway.
So he...
he's going to hang out. But the plan is to sort of lull her into a false sense of security so that she'll sail back to not Britain voluntarily. And then when they get there, she'll immediately get arrested and hanged.
Because he knows that she's way too wily and smart to not get away if she knows that this is what's happening. So we end up zippy zapping to they're in Nassau, and Blackwood has been sent to go shopping with her, and they're meandering.
And she goes shopping for everybody because she is fae-blooded, and it gives her fae charms. And so she gets like better deals than regular human people.
Buys things for all of her people because she takes care of them. And then there's the cutest thing where she's like, why is everyone looking at you weird? And he's like, I'm a little bit recognizable. And she's like, let's fix that. And so they go into an alley and she like pirates him up. And then they're just meandering and they end up in a bookstore.
A bookstore.
Because she loves books.
Yes.
Also,
why does
fuck
Mr. Vane
Fitzroy.
never come back? What?
I'll
Go
bet he
ahead.
comes. I'll bet he comes back.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty
next
sure he's
couple
a
of
book
books.
2 situation.
But fuck Fitzroy because he kicks her out of her cabin.
Oh yeah.
To give it to Blackwood.
Mm-hmm.
Sir,
it's rude.
Fucking
it's
rude.
rude.
But anyway, so she's looking at books and like Blackwood is already struggling because he's like, okay, she is not at all what she's made out to be by the Navy. Like they talk about how she's this like nightmare bloodthirst, but like what kind of nightmare bloodthirsty murderer goes shopping for her buddies because it'll get them a good deal and is
and like wants people to surrender, you know? Like really she doesn't want to hurt anyone, and he could tell that in the last battle. Although I will say that when they were doing that fight before he got Fitzroy's attention, she was going to murder him dead.
She was going to fucking cut his throat. No questions asked.
Yes. And I loved it.
Also, we find out, okay, this is important and we skipped this earlier. So her past is she is Lady Avis Ferrers. And not Avis, Avis. And so she's a lady. She was betrothed. She ended up abandoning that betrothal to the shitty little knight in Villiers and running off with
a boy.
Yep. But she was like, she thought she was in love, something like that. He's a dick. So.
Yeah. Who died?
Yeah.
He got his.
Uh-huh. But we find out that about her history. And then we find out now, from his point of view, he's Knight in Villiers.
Yeah.
But he changed his name. So this is her betrothed that she ran away from. Neither of them know about this. And it's like, oh my God. And
she doesn't know about this right now?
No, this is just in his inner monologue that we find out.
You're right. And she like feels a little bit bad about, you know, him being left by a fiance because, you know, she realized she did that to somebody. And so they go into a bookstore and they're like in the back, in between the stacks. And Mr. Vane comes in and he's like, I heard Lady Vice was around. And she like launches herself at him and puts her hand over his mouth because she doesn't want to alert anybody, like he can't make any noise, and his hands automatically go to her waist, you know, without him even really thinking about it. And he can feel all of her lean muscle, but also all the plush curves. And she is really not paying a ton of attention to him because she is really worried about that guy. It's great. And then once he leaves, she realizes like how close they are, and he has to like drop his hands. He's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. And they get books and then they leave. Goodbye. They go drinking. She goes drinking. He goes back to the boat.
Yes. Yeah.
So
then it's the next day, or like, I don't know. Time is a real wishy-washy.
Yeah.
In this book.
In the next scene.
Yep. He has decided that he needs a little bit more information about her. So he's going around and he's asking everybody on the boat. And he ends up talking to his boy, Aiden.
He's such a gossip.
Nye
Blackwood. Yeah. He's such a gossip.
So he's chatting with Aiden and he finds out that Aiden and she had a little bit of a fling until Fitzroy found out about it and went to kill Aiden, and she straight up walked in on it, held a gun to her own head, and was like, if you kill him, I kill myself. And so Fitzroy, that possessive little asshole, ends up not shooting Aiden, but and so they're looking over the side of the boat.
Yeah.
And they're having some shit bath time, and he's looking at all the men down there, and then whoosh,
pops. She does one of those aerial flip your hair back situations, but her tits are out all the way.
Oh, but he can't see those tits because she's facing away from him, but he can see those back dimples. And he's like, I want to touch those back dimples.
I want to put my thumb right into them. And so now he's still sort of trying to weigh what he's heard about her character, because now she has literally risked her own life to save one of her crewmates. Because even if she thought that it wasn't a threat at all and that Fitzroy would immediately back down, because the pistols are so, unreliable,
Mm-hmm.
she could have still accidentally been shot in the head doing this move, And so he's like, this is really weird. He tries to talk to her BFF, Perry, and Perry tells him that she was married and he died and she doesn't talk about it. And she has never been in like a relationship with feelings since then. And she will not say anything else about it. Thank you very much. And so he's like, secret love. History.
Well, now we zippy zap to them being chased down by 3 warships. And they're like,
oh my God, yeah.
Snap. We can't outrun these.
They're the
like,
big
even
ones.
with my power, like, we can't get away fast enough. And
yeah,
so they get
they're like
caught
the men of war.
too.
You know, those men of wars, the men of wars. And it says at one point that when it comes up alongside their boat, it towers over them.
Not only that, it explicitly states that you could stick 4 of the Morrigans inside of this boat with room to rattle around. Like, these boats aren't messing around. These are big boys. And they don't want to shoot. And so we end up, and it turns out, one of them, it has the Prince of Not Britain on it.
Yeah.
And he is a big old nightmare person. He's got to come back in the next couple of books, right?
He has to. Yeah. Between his relationship with Gabe and just generally not getting enough of the backstory of why Nye hates him so much, like what buttons he actually pushed on him, I think he's definitely coming back.
Yeah.
And then when he gets on the boat, he says, "Oh, Knight and Villiers, as I live and breathe." And she's like, "That's, oh shit, now I was supposed to marry him. He doesn't look at all like that gangly little arrogant fuck that I dipped out on. This is incredible. Oh my God." And she doesn't know what to do with herself.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's having a full meltdown because he's getting triggered by the presence of this prince. And then that prince is like, "Hey, I got your bro here."
Yeah, look, George is here. Love a George.
Yeah, it's George, not Gabriel. Yeah.
Oh, that's what you meant. I was going to ask, and then I just whimsied,
Yeah, that's
You said
fair.
Gabe, and I was like, sure. Sounds
G-man.
great.
G-brother.
G-man. So we find out that the prince knows something about Blackwood's past, and we don't know what it is, but it's something bad.
Oh, yeah.
And I really hope that in the next couple of books, listen to me talking. I'm reading these books.
You're reading them hard.
These books. Damn
We're
it.
going to have a Patreon quickie
We're going to
on
have
these.
a Patreon quickie on these for
That's
sure.
what we're going to do.
So the prince ends up like inviting them to like some kind of ball, and
yes,
they all go. Not all of them, but like some of them.
Fitzroy and her and Blackwood go.
Yeah,
She and Blackwood go.
And we find out something about Blackwood's past. We learn a little bit about how like he's more
ashamed.
animal than man.
Yeah,
and he has like whatever. We find out
I
he
really
chopped
thought maybe
a hand off of somebody who was his friend while the prince cheered him on and was like, yeah.
He was like,
good for you.
Chop
off
evil
those-
laugh.
Chop
Chop off the hand of your best friend. Do it.
Yeah. And buddy, you're a berserker. Like, you don't need to be like, if you feel that bad, go find him.
Yeah, I know, right? And he does, and the guy has absolutely
It's fine.
no regrets
He has a great
whatsoever.
fucking life. He's like, hell yeah, I love not being in the Navy.
Nye loves brooding and punishing himself more than anything else.
Is such a broken, sad boy.
He is because his whole deal is his dad was like a noble boy, but then he frittered away all of their fortunes, and then
On like a mistress.
Yeah, and then he died of something.
So they had
and
to sell
left-
the estate.
Yeah, left them all in ruin, and then They had to sell everything, and then he...
But it's like, to be clear, it's like rich people nobility ruins, right?
Yeah, like they have to move in with their aunt.
Yeah, but they're still...
Like, they're not on the
They're
street.
fine. They're fine.
They're okay. He manages to buy a commission into not Britain's navy, so, like, they're fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he's like, I won't rest until my sister has a really respectable dowry.
Uh-huh.
Like,
and so
nice.
she's
God.
they're at this ball and she's like wandering around this like library study thing, like, what am I gonna steal? And so she ends up taking this little violin for Perry, her bestie, and then she overhears Blackwood and his brother George having a conversation. Blackwood is like, you need to get the hell away from Mercia.
That's the prince.
Yes, the prince. He's a bad dude. And George is like, get fucked.
I like him.
Tell
He's my
me
friend.
why.
Yeah.
Tell me why he's so bad. And Blackwood can't. He's like, I
can't
can't tell
'cause he's too
anybody.
ashamed.
I can't tell anybody
I'm
what
also like,
happened.
Blackwood, if you can't, like, be a tiny bit ashamed, is it really that serious? You know? Like, if you can't tell your brother you did a bad thing, and that's what's stopping you from keeping him away from a monster, then, like, is it actually that bad?
I didn't even think about that, but you're so right. Like if you're that concerned about him being around the prince, admit your fault and be like, and he goaded me on.
Yeah, like I became my basest self around him. I don't want that to happen to you. It's a very easy sentence to say out loud. But he's just like, my ego. Oh, I couldn't take it.
I can't tell anybody the terrible things that I've done. Also, to be
so
clear,
ashamed.
Blackwood, it's one terrible thing.
Yeah.
It's not, and like, maybe this is the dark romance girly in me coming out, but like, chopping a single hand off.
I mean, like,
It's not like, it could be so much worse.
he's got
right?
another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he has a spare. He has two of them. It's fine.
But Blackwood can't, at this point in the book, he can't contemplate an existence without being in the Navy. And so one of the reasons he's so torn up about maiming his friend like this is because he got decommissioned and he got, kicked out of the Navy because he can't, do it with one hand, I guess, or something. Although he manages to do a merchant ship just fine.
He's
with a couple of
fine.
accommodations, you fucks.
Lord. So she overhears that conversation, and George leaves, and she walks out, and Blackwood is in a state.
Ooh.
He's got a messy hair and a red face, and she's like, let's get out of here. And so
let's go dance naked in a bonfire and get drunk. And he's like, that doesn't sound like my speed, but I'll try anything at this point. Other than talking to my brother about the one bad thing I've ever done.
Blackwood is just not a talking about his feelings kind of person. You know?
No.
He is the epitome.
Although he ends up being a little bit more talking about his feelings than Our Lady Vice, so...
Okay, if he's the epitome, she is the definition. You know?
No, totally.
Like, you open the dictionary next to, what's the word I'm looking for? But keeping it all in.
Oh, bottling it.
Bottling it up. Just, like, you open the dictionary, there's no description. It's just a picture of Vice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sexy picture, though,
Oh, of course it's a sexy picture.
Yeah, you can't take a not sexy picture of her.
Oh, God. So they're down there, and they have a moment where he is like, how are you so carefree? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm just me. And he's like,
exactly.
That's it. That's exactly it.
What
and then
are you?
She's like, okay. And then she's like, here, just drink some rum and let's go dancing. And so they do. They do go dancing.
Well, after he says, I don't dance, and that was important to me, Melody. The boy who says, I don't dance, but then he does for her, Ooh, good stuff.
Okay, to be clear, listener, there's a lot
Good
of
stuff.
swoony moments in this book, like leading up to them.
What we're going to get to.
Yeah. So we zippy zap. It's later. They decide to go look at a shipwreck. And they go out and they have the cutest day.
They do an old-timey snorkel date.
Yeah. Which, like, to be clear, I could never.
It's just
I can't hold my breath
opening
like
your eyes
that.
in the ocean.
I can't do that either. I have contacts. So, like, everything about this date, I would fail at.
Yeah,
and
totally.
then Lady Vice would have been like, wow, you really suck. Maybe you shouldn't be a pirate. And I'd be sad and brokenhearted.
Like,
you're right.
Need another job.
I probably shouldn't be a pirate.
I'm going to learn how to make sourdough.
Although we find out most of the pirates on this ship cannot swim.
What is that?
I had a lot of questions.
I mean, I guess once you're at the point where you're in the open ocean and your ship goes down, it doesn't really matter if you can swim or not. You know,
that's true. Like, you're kind of fucked no matter what. So,
yeah, like it's just really delaying the inevitable. Is it ability
accurate.
to swim?
So then, while they're doing this little snorkel date, they find something in the shipwreck in the office.
Really quick, I'm so sorry. I have to talk to you, Sabrina, about this. Because
I would also be bad at this date because of all of the big open water. Continue. Yes, if that was your question.
No, it wasn't. But okay. I'm glad we reminded listeners.
just to confirm, I would not be okay. Like when they talk about on this date, they get up to like the edge of this ledge overlooking just the vast expanse of the sea ahead of them.
And it's
then
so
a
big.
Whale shark.
Yeah, it's so big they can't make out the silhouette of a whale shark, but they can see it. And then the whale shark comes all the way over.
Abso-fucking-lutely not.
Okay, so I'm wondering if this is something that's going to come back in later books. Not the whale shark, because I think the whale shark is a red herring. Do you remember during that man-o-war chase when she's doing the vastness of the seas and she's putting her feelers out there, and then there's like the dark thing in the water
feelers?
next to them, and it's
she can't get her feelers in. Like it's like a wall.
Yes, but before that, even there's like
she can feel
presence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like a dark shape or something, and then when she looks, there's nothing there. I thought that it was going to be what this whale shark was, and I think it's a red herring. I think she's trying to throw us off the scent of a mythical creature we're going to meet in a later book.
Well, because there's no good reason. So, like, on top of that, while she has her, like, feelers out, there's, like, this wall that she hits. There's that weird thing that, like, is going through the water and she doesn't know what it is. Like, something's up.
Something's going on, and we don't get any more of it in this book, which makes a lot of sense once you find out there are 4 planned at this point.
So I was holding out hope until I was like, I would have
hanging
accepted,
on by my fingernails.
I would have accepted in the last 4-page chapter if they had just had this come to Jesus moment.
Yes.
And they were like, I actually am in love with you. And
she's like, I can forgive you for anything. And then the epilogue, all it would have had to say is happily ever after, believe me. And I would have been like, done.
I would have been fine. But like, I knew it wasn't going to happen though, because we're getting to the very end of this book, right? And I'm like, there's so many loose ends.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that this author, just based on this book alone, would let that happen. And then we got to the end and I was like, well, fucking course she would have let that happen, because guess what? There's 4 fucking books.
I'm excited, but I'm also not. You know, like I'm in that place where I enjoyed books so much.
You are not going to read the books. You're going to listen to me give you a quickie on them is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I might also read them in a melatonin haze. Who knows? So
anyway, he almost dies. He gets pulled out to the current, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, it doesn't really matter because everything works out just fine. No, hang on. It does matter. Because at the end of the book, she references this time that he almost died and she went to save him and she had to use all of her powers to, like, she was so exhausted she almost couldn't make it back to the beach.
Sure. Yeah.
But he lived.
What is...
Oh,
what?
It was important later in the book. She comments that she couldn't let him go and die that way because it would be another person she cared about leaving.
Yes.
Through no fault of his own. But this was the point where she realized he's important to her.
Yes, yes. So what happened just now, listener, is that Sabrina was about to tell you what happened, and then she stopped telling you what happened in order to comment on the emotional commentary that happened while that thing was happening, but also giving you clues as to what did happen. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to tell you exactly what physically happened.
Your blank face now makes a lot of sense.
I was so confused. I was like, where are we going? What's happening? Okay. So they're in the water, and during this whale shark situation, she's so in awe of this whale shark that she doesn't realize he's been swept out by that turtle current. You know that turtle current in Finding Nemo?
Yep. The minute you said turtle current, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah, it's that serious one. And so he gets swept out, and she's like, he can't swim out of it. Like, she's trying to use her powers, and she's like pulling and pulling and pulling, and she can't do it. And then she's like, I'm just going to try to peel off a tiny portion of that current, and it's just the portion that he's in. So she manages to finally do that. But when she uses her power, it's more than just a mental thing. Like, she has to clench all of her sphincters to the point that, like, all of her muscles are used up, and like she talks about her bones being a little creaky at a couple of points, and like she's just like clenching everything. You know when you stretch really hard and you like clench, and all of a sudden like your arms
stuck.
are in like 4 different shapes, and then that's what happens to her, but more serious. Anyway, she barely makes it up to the surface to get her next breath, even though he also does that, and then she barely makes it to the shore. And then when she does make it to the shore, she just clean passes out for about an hour on that shore. And he is like very worried, and he cannot believe that she's expended that much energy for him.
To save him.
But he also can't even contemplate the fact that she would do it because she cares. You know, like he can't even, it's not even a thought in his mind. Oh!
So
but then
we zippy zap. We're back on the water, and they see
I think we do another battle.
A Hessian
one.
treasure ship.
Yeah.
And they go after this
Those
ship.
are German boys.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a real term from revolutionary times. Maybe before and after, too. I don't know.
Cool beans. So they're going to take this fucking ship.
Yeah.
And they
got
to it.
tipped off by one of his Navy pals, right?
That it was going to be there. Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be, like, not guarded at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, guess what, listener?
Yeah.
It was hecka guarded. They get up on this ship. It's all quiet on board. They hop on the ship. And like get over there, and then a bunch of freaking soldiers come out from the berth and start attacking, and they're overrun.
They have miscalculated hard.
Meanwhile, Blackwood is on the ship because his thing is that he's there. He just can't fight, right?
He's like the regulator of the ship. And so he can be like, that's out of place. That's not how we do that. But he can't actually engage, especially in like any sort of military maneuvers. And up until this point, when they were chasing that Hessian ship, it was pretty fun because when she's working the currents, she needs to have so much of her awareness out in the ocean that like she needs help doing the actual helm part of the situation. And so he helps her do that helm part.
The look on his face when he's like in the sun and the wind.
Because listener, she barely gets a lip quirk out of him when she says something hilarious. And all of a sudden he's got this beatific smile on his face. And he's just having the time of his life. Anyway, so now they're about to get slashed to death by these Hessian boys because there are so many of them. And he also doesn't like to fight because we've been getting these clues about him losing control. And so that's one of the reasons that he sort of tamps down all of his emotions, because he's afraid that any big
he doesn't know which one is going to set him off.
That's the one. But he can't do it. He looks at her and she is overrun and he's like, I cannot. And so he shoots somebody right between the eyes and then he launches himself over there and he starts slashing and stabbing.
Berserker battle rage? Like,
and in the last time, he cut off that hand of his friend because his friend was trying to be like, hey, bud, it's over. You can stop now. And he was like, take your hand. So then he like is sort of coming back to awareness a tiny bit. Everything is still. And she's the one being like, Nye. It's okay. We're done. They've surrendered. It's okay. And so then when he finally comes back fully to awareness, he's like, oh my God, did I hurt you? Like, she's the one who intervened. So I must have hurt her the way that I hurt my friend. She's like, it's okay. It's okay. And he has to like go do a big broody walkabout on the island when they go to rest and maroon those Hessians.
Well, yeah. So now they're having like a little party on this island.
Because they got some big loot.
Yeah, they did. And they are like partying and dancing and he's back from his little walk. And then he gets a guitar and he does do a sing.
Oh, wow.
And play a instrument.
He does a full-on, I'm going to be Chris Pine in the middle of this circle, strumming this guitar and singing to
Wonderwall?
you. No.
Let's go.
No. It's not. It is something cooler than that. And that is from somebody who loves Oasis and the song Wonderwall. But, like, he has to do something cooler.
Well, because, like, it starts off, like, slow and kind of sad, and then it gets all, like, boppy for, like, dancing, and just we're going, and, it's a whole thing. And then he's like, comes over to her.
Yeah.
And... okay, so he comes over to her and finds out that she's hurt from the battle that day. Okay?
Yeah, he says, you didn't dance. Was it that bad? And she says, no, I've just been skewered, is all.
Yeah, because she has a real bad wound. And he's like, come with me. And they go.
I have to show you something.
They go find this cave. And it's beautiful.
And as they're walking, she's like, where are we going? And he's like, I found this cave and it'll make it so they don't see the glow. She's like, glow?
So they get there. And turns out he's got Healy Boy powers. And he's like...
That's his Fae gift. Because he's Fae
touched.
Which I'm still not clear about.
Nope.
I understand what a Fae blooded is. It's intercourse, in your lineage. I don't know what a Fae touch is. It's some sort of like, I'm gracing you.
A gift.
With a gift. And
his gift is healing. And so he does... heal her right up. He's got to have his hands on her and touching her.
This is my favorite,
and
though,
then,
because it hurts like a fucking monster bite.
I
love it.
Love that his gift is to heal, and it's agonizing.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, it's literally stitching stuff back together. That would hurt. And I love that
it's basically
it actually does
it's
that.
taking the healing and just speeding up the process, basically.
Right.
Because, and this is important, it doesn't just take his energy to heal, it takes their energy to heal as well.
It's a teamwork situation.
That is going to come back again. I bet you fucking money that it's going to come back again, that he's not going to be able to save somebody because they are so far gone that the energy it would take to heal would kill them.
Do you think it will be his brother?
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know.
No.
So they're really close together.
I have a quote.
Yes.
I have a quote.
Give it to the people.
Because she says, Captain Blackwood, somehow formality felt safer, but damn it, did she want to be safe? If I didn't know better, I'd say you're looking at me like you want to kiss me. His fingers twitched against her. I do. And then listener, it is fucking on TM.
And then, she says, then you should. So then they start kissing, and she thought that he would be like a polite, lay back and think of not Britain kind of thing.
Oh, he's not. He's pulling down her shirt and he's like laving on those nipples. And then like at one point, this is when the gorgeous thing happens.
Yeah.
Where she's like, "You are gorgeous, you know that." And he said, I thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly not enough women had said that. A travesty. Men told women they were beautiful all the time, and yet women so seldom repaid the compliment. And that is when I fell in love. Oh, also, of note, I just don't want to forget about this.
Sure.
We find out in this book that, what's her name? Vice.
Do tell.
Is a bisexual queen.
Yeah. We don't get any evidence of it.
No,
but
no
we do
evidence,
find
but
out.
it is stated, and that's fine. I love it.
I'm into it.
And then, so they're making out, and he sits her down on this freaking, like, rock and pulls her pants down, and he says to her...
Well, he's going to kneel down, and she's like, what are you doing? What's happening?
And he says, I thought the pirate queen would appreciate a man kneeling for her.
And then he goes to town.
Blackwood. Oh, yeah. He goes to town. He's good at oral.
This is a man who loves cunnilingus.
Oh, boy,
and we're
it's
into
great.
it.
And then it was just...
Well, and like, Sabrina, I thought about you during this sex scene because there were so many times when they checked in with each other, and it was a two-way street. Like, the consent in this scene was really gorgeously done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because, like, it starts off with her being concerned.
Yeah.
That she's taking advantage of him.
Right.
And then him coming back and being like,
no, I'm into
this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just really beautiful. Like, so then they're done with the cunnilingus, right?
Sure.
And he comes up and they're making out and she's got her hand on his cock and she says, "Now, please." It sounded far too much like begging, but damn the man, he'd given her a taste and she wanted more. Impatient. Damn right I am. I've been waiting weeks for this. Oh, really?
God, say less.
The insufferable arrogance, the delicious arrogance. Gods, if this was just the start, the well-earned arrogance.
And so they basically decide to bone down forever now.
Also, we learn about historical fantasy preventatives, so they don't need to worry about babies.
Yeah, he doesn't have to pull out.
Love that. And then when they're done, okay? So when they're finally done, they're laying on their backs next to each other. And he says, or no, she says, "Well, you were certainly more than I bargained for, Captain Blackwood." He scoffed and his arm dropped from his face. Likewise, Pirate Queen. Bloody likewise.
End of chapter. So good.
Such a good chapter.
So good. So now they're just pirating around and trying to secretly bone down, except like everyone pretty much knows.
So bad at being secret about it.
Also, there's a cat on this boat named Barnacle. And it's her cat, but Barnacle has taken a liking to this dude. Barnacle loves a nigh Blackwood. So,
I mean, like,
at this point,
we can't blame Barnacle.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
We're only
That's
human.
just good taste. It's just good taste.
Yeah.
So, at this point in the book, we sort of go through this arc where he's like, she is not who the Navy says she is. And at this point, I think I need to change the plan. He thinks instead of writing to Not Britain and being like, "Don't worry, you can arrest her on such and such a date when we get there," instead, he wants to write them and be like, "No, she would be an amazing asset for the crown, and we should make her a legitimate privateer." And that's pretty much his working orders from now on, but he doesn't really want to clue in Fitzroy, the captain, and I wasn't sure why until way later.
Uh-huh.
Also, they gave the box that they found on that shipwreck when she had to save him from the current and they did snuggle with that whale shark. They gave that box to Fitzroy and he's been like very secretive about it and he won't tell either one of them what's inside.
Yes.
So
also important, she is currently fighting her feelings real freaking hard because she's starting to feel things for
and
Blackwood.
she can't.
And she can't. She refuses to love, basically.
She lives in a state of emotional survival mode. So she's like, I'll do sex, I'll do friendship, I will do banter, I will do all those things, but there absolutely cannot be any feelings that would lead to love or grief or loss or pain.
Yes. And then Perry calls her out on it because Perry can see that something's up and Vice does not handle it well. And she, in fact, is like, this is just bodies. I'm going to go fuck Fitzroy to prove it.
She goes straight nuclear. 0 to nuclear.
The entire time I was like, Vice, can we like just pause for half a second?
Just a 1 millisecond even.
What are you doing? So she does. She goes straight into Fitzroy's office and like starts getting all over him and he's going for it. And she realizes, oh, I don't want to be doing this. And so she stops it. And then when she steps out of his office,
she's all disheveled.
And Blackwood is right there and sees her. And he's like very confused and
concerned.
Hurt.
He's like, did he do something? And she's
then
like,
when she's like,
no, not really.
And then Perry comes tromping down the stairs and she's like, Blackwood, into your cabin. We have to talk. I have to fix this.
Yeah, she's like, I triggered her.
Up.
And I'm just going to explain this to you because I know that she won't explain her own emotions. So, go into your cabin. I'm going to chat with her and then I'll be right in. And that's basically what happens. Perry checks in with her and Perry's like, hey, girl, you are a mess. Love you, but you're messy. And I'm just going to explain what's going on because you really like him and you don't want to. And I get that and I respect it. And we don't have to talk about it. But I also don't want you to tank this over something I said. I don't want that to happen. So she goes in and explains it to him. And when Vice finally comes in, his inner monologue is like, I didn't get it at first. But the more Perry talked, the more I started slotting the puzzle pieces in. Like, this makes a lot of sense. And, and then she does the unthinkable, listener. She apologizes.
Oh my God, she apologizes twice.
Yeah.
And he's like, what is
He's
happening?
gobsmacked. He's like, this is obviously very serious emotions.
Fair. I would also be gobsmacked.
Yeah, she obviously feels a lot for me. And so they do sex, and it's great.
Well, but oh God, it broke me because they are having this deep conversation on his bunk. Like at one point she's looking just at the ceiling of the cabin and she says, love is weakness. Love makes you soft. Love is a fool's game. It'll only destroy you. Stick to the Navy and other ways to spend your time. Lust, desire, sex. They have all the enjoyment and none of the risk. It's all just bodies.
Yeah.
And then they start getting real deep and this is when she almost acknowledges that it would have hurt her if he disappeared in that current because she cares about him and he's important to her.
And he says would you miss me? And she deflects and she's like, I would miss the warmth of your body. Your body's so warm.
And then we have some sexy banter about his mouth and his wordsmithing.
I would miss that mouth.
And that tongue.
Well, this is my favorite.
Ma'am.
She says I would miss that mouth and what that tongue do. And he's like, oh yeah, you really like my wordsmithing? And she's like, not quite that. And then he starts going down her body. And he's like, why don't I just stop right there. Why don't I just do a demonstration? Oh boy.
Sir. So she finds out from Fitzroy that when they get to Albion, Blackwood is leaving.
Yep.
Okay. And she is fucked up about it because she's like, it's inevitable that everybody leaves me.
Right.
And all I can think though, Vice, is like, talk to your girl Perry,
I know.
Like, Not everybody, except kind of everybody, because, oh, wait, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. Don't do it yet. No, so she has such a meltdown about this that she's like, I'm just going to cut this off before we even have to do this. Like, they're going to stop at a port one more time, and then they'll be on their way to Albion, and she finds out that he's going to leave as soon as they get there, and so she's just like, fuck this and fuck him. I don't even want to look at him on the trip back, and so I'm just going to burn it down before then.
Talk about zero to scorched earth. This girl is like, she does not mess around when she decides to burn it all down.
So, y'all, when they go to Nassau, he gets her a dagger earring that makes it look like the dagger is stabbing through your earlobe. And then he also gets her a special book about Drake, the treasure hider.
Because
that,
he
nobody
gets
can
her.
even read because he gets her. And he goes into her cabin about to give her all of her presents, and she is giving him, nothing in return. She's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yep, I'm sure we're going to have a whatever. And then he sees a pin that's on her lapel
that he recognizes as Lady Avis's.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, where did you get that?
And then to deflect.
And she looks him dead in the face and says, I killed her.
No.
Yeah.
She says, I got it from a girl who died. And then he says, how did she die? And then she says, I killed her.
I killed her.
Yeah.
Vice.
And she literally thinks, she knows who he is. She knows that Lady Avis is the one who left him. And she knows that, the best way to burn it down is to make him hate her. And so she literally thinks to herself, this is the perfect way. I will tell him that I killed her.
Kill two birds with one stone.
That's exactly it. Yeah. With one metaphor is what she does. And he
is immediately horrified that she killed an innocent 18-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
He stomps on out of there, vomits over the side of the ship, and he's like, the Navy was right about her.
Yeah.
All of the proof that I have witnessed for the last 6 months.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
It's all
that's out the window.
Lies because of this one thing. And he's like, I can't wait to arrest her.
Yeah, so he sends the original letter that he was going to send about, save the date, admirals. This is when we're going to arrest her. And they avoid each other, the whole trip back.
Even worse.
Yeah.
Fitzroy needs somebody to captain the Covidonga, which is the treasure ship.
One of those ships that they got.
And he pulls Perry. He pulls all of Vice's friends.
Yeah, her crew.
And sends them to that ship and leaves her there. So now she has no friends. She's not talking to Blackwood. She's not talking to Fitzroy.
Her promised captaincy.
Mm-hmm.
Perry was supposed to be her first mate. That's been the plan for literal years. Is once a captaincy comes up, the first person on the list is Vice. And so, now she's completely and utterly alone. She has no allies. She's not talking to Blackwood. She's not talking to Fitzroy. And she can also tell that, they're chatting quite a bit. And, so is that first mate who she's always thought hated her.
Mm-hmm.
So they roll up to that port. They get boarded by a bunch of Navy boys.
Immediately.
Meanwhile, the whole crew is, not armed because they're privateers. They're going into a friendly port.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody gets arrested because Fitzroy comes barreling out of his cabin with handcuffs on, basically, throws himself down like a Brazilian soccer player and is like, she kept me captive.
I was her sex slave. She stole my crew.
Don't flatter yourself, Fitzroy.
She forced everybody to captain her ship.
Did a mutiny. Oh, my God.
And I'm like, if the crew, you can't have a mutiny of one, bud.
No. And Blackwood is nowhere to be seen.
Nope. Mm-mm.
And so she starts like trying to figure out how she can get out of this. She's like looking for places to jump off the ship. She's doing all those things. And then right in her ear, she hears like, there's nowhere to go.
It's time for you to give up. Please don't do this.
Yeah. And
because he doesn't want her to die. And I'm like, buddy, you're essentially sentencing her to being hung.
Yeah. That's
what
exactly
the hell
what you're doing.
But she gives in. He ties her up, and
she says the last words to him are, "Well played, Blackwood. Well played."
I started crying.
Yeah.
I was not okay.
Yeah.
So he has decided to go. So we zippy zap to his point of view. He has abandoned whatever the name of the town is to go home to his family.
This fucking
on leave.
coward.
Yeah. And he feels heinously guilty about everything that has gone down.
But
also,
he's right.
like,
by the letter of the law, goddammit, he's right because of this Avis situation. She killed an innocent lady.
Seeing this lawful good man.
I know.
Go
Break
from
bad.
lawful good to we don't know him enough anymore.
Yeah, we don't.
To know where he's
a brand new character.
So we also find out apparently Marcia and George, did you get the vibes that they're boning?
Yeah, they're together.
Okay, cool. Okay,
the
cool.
Prince Marcia, the sadist, I guess, or something. Like the bad influence.
He's basically paying for Blackwood's
Blackwood.
family.
Yes.
Through George.
Right. Not Gabriel. Yeah.
Yes. Accurate. Not Gabriel.
Because Blackwood comes in and he's like, my family's living in the fucking lap of luxury and they have a townhouse in like London, Lunden, not Britain.
London? Yeah.
And he's like, where's all this money coming from? And he figures out it's because George is more than just a BFF.
Yes. So then we zippy zap back to Vice's point of view, and she's being paraded through the town in cuffs, and all of the townspeople are singing the song of the Pirate Queen and cheering for her.
Yeah, normally they throw vegetables, but today they're singing her song. And she's thinking, okay, so her whole crew was on trial yesterday, and the entire crew was given 1 day in the stocks. And then they were like ready to go. And so she was like, okay, this is fine. This is actually nothing. I'm going to go on trial. They're going to put me in the stocks for a day. It'll be gravy and I'll meet back up with them.
I'm Fae-blooded. And so my Fae charms will help me out here and all of these things. But guess what? Fae charms don't work on other people who are Fae touched or Fae-blooded. Yep. She gets to the courtroom. Turns out everybody on the ship lied. And
they
backed
went
up
with
the
story.
Yeah.
And then she looks at that head judge and he has shark teeth, which means he's also a Fae, blooded. So her charm's not even going to work.
And basically it boils down to she gets 1 week in a gibbet, an iron gibbet, which is a cage, hanging off the side of the castle wall.
And iron hurts people who are Fae-blooded. And so... like, it literally, she has a literal padlock scar on her hand because she touched a padlock at some point. And did Everard do that to her, the husband?
If we don't find out the story behind that scar.
Clare Sager. Yeah, and so when it's like, when she's fully encased in this iron gibbet, which is a hanging cage on the side of a castle that's like 15 feet up in the air, do you think? Yeah. it essentially like leeches her energy. Her powers don't work anymore at all.
Well, and nobody knows that she's Fae-blooded. They think she's just Fae-touched. So they don't realize just how bad this is going to be for her.
Right. And so it's essentially like lead poisoning or worse, you know? So she's sitting there and she's wasting away. She's frozen. And Barnacle is like doing circles on the ground underneath the gibbet. And so then he has a conversation with his sister in which his sister's like, so you were doing the do with that lady and you know, you feel a little weird about it? And he's like, yuck, how dare you say true things to my face? And she's like, I think you'll feel better about it if you give yourself some closure. So go and tell her exactly why you did it. Tell her why.
Okay.
Which is so funny.
The fact that, like, how, like a man.
I know.
To go to this woman that he has betrayed.
Yeah.
For no good reason.
Uh-huh.
And say, this is how what you have done hurt me specifically.
Yes. This is why you're getting all the bad that I'm giving you.
I was like, literally, my note is like, is that, and then it ends with how like a fucking man. What?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Blackwood.
Right.
She's dying anyway. But anyway, so he gets there and he's not allowed to see her because Fitzroy dropped the beans. Spilled the beans. You know, the context is basically the same.
All over the floor.
The context is basically the same thing between dropped and spilled, but there's just something about dropped the beans that sounds awful.
A little wrong?
Yeah, I don't like that at all. Like that, like, you know how sometimes you can like mix your idioms and things like that. And it's not that big of a deal or like mess it up, but it's fine. Dropped the beans is not one of those.
So he goes to Fitzroy to be like, how dare you tell everybody I was dipping my wick in her wax? And Fitzroy is wearing that pin.
You.
And Fitzroy is wearing the pin that was Lady Avis's and not Vice's, but Vice was wearing it because she did take it off of the dead girl that she killed. And he grabs it off of Fitzroy and he's like, you don't even deserve this. This was Lady Avis's. And so then Fitzroy is like, what are you talking about? And he's like,
feels like
the
you're
girl
projecting.
That Vice killed. Yeah. He's like, the girl that Vice killed, Lady Avis. And Fitzroy just busts a gut. He is
because he knows
cackling.
that Lady Avis is Lady Vice. Yeah.
So then he doesn't even explain. He's just like, this is hilarious. The things you don't know about Lady Vice.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
So he decides, because she one time told him that alcohol fixes everything.
Yeah.
And so he goes and gets skunk drunk.
Toasted.
And he's like, I don't even know where to find her. I'm never going to see her again. I have to deal with the fact that I have sad feelings about betraying her, but she's a bad lady.
Yeah, and all the grown-ups are telling me I can't even talk to her.
And then he's wandering around and he sees Barnacle. Yeah. And he's like, oh, what? And he looks up and he realizes that she's up there. So he
parkours up there.
He sure does. Skunk drunk. Just like all the way up there. And he's like, Vice.
Let me give you a piece of my mind.
I need to talk to you. But when he gets up there, he realizes that she's Fae-blooded and not Fae-touched because she's
a husk.
Like she's not looking good.
Yeah, he can see like all of the joints in her hands and she's ashen and it's terrible. So she looks over and she's like, what do you want?
You're a traitorous bastard.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's not my fault that you killed an 18-year-old innocent girl. And then she starts laughing.
Cackling. And he's just like, why is everyone laughing at me? I am not funny.
Why is it so funny that you're a cold-blooded murderer? And she's like,
I'm not a murderer, you idiot.
Lady Avis is dead in the same way that Knighton Villiers is dead. And he goes, "You're Avis?" And she's like, "Duh, it was a metaphor, bro. What the hell? That's why you locked me up? That's
why you did all of this? Because of a metaphor?" And he's like, "I vow to you on this day that I will make this right and get you out of here." And she's like, "I'll believe it when I see it. Goodbye."
And then he, stone cold sober now,
boy,
climbing down, and he's, "I'm ready to breaking the law.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm Breaking Bad. This is my chance." And, well, okay. Also, it's absolutely, like, we watch him make some preparations that we don't really even have to talk about. But Sabrina, it was utterly heartbreaking when we get into her point of view. And it's like her last night on Earth. She's supposed to be hanged in the morning. And she realizes that, like, she's so completely alone, and she's trying to meditate her way back onto the seas, you know, to get some comfort. But she also looks down, and even Barnacle has abandoned her.
Okay, I was not okay when she realized Barnacle was no longer there. To be clear, listener, Barnacle's not there because Barnacle is in the inn room
with
where
that
he's getting
betrayer.
Yeah, but he probably went, as far as I took it as he went and got the cat to make sure that the cat was with them so that they could go on the ship.
Yeah, but she was like, even Barnacle has abandoned me. Barnacle is no longer here.
The most important part of him getting everything together for this trip is he runs into Billy, the man whose hand he cut off. And Billy is thriving.
Billy is living his best goddamn
life. And the whole time we're in Blackwood's point of view, and he's like, "I can't believe how he must be holding that hatred so deep inside of him. He must hate me so much for ruining his life." Meanwhile, Billy's like,
Billy
"Hey,
being like,
friend,
it's so nice to see you. Oh my God, do you want to get brunch?"
Yeah. And then Nye is like, "Hey, so do you have space for me and my wife on your boat to go back to Akawafubaba?"
Congratulations!
And then he finds out that it's supposedly a love match, and he's like, I'm even happier now. He's so happy.
He's like, it's been too long.
He's like, you deserve this. You are just like, you're such a good man. And like the whole time Blackwood is just like, I'm a monster.
So he's dying over the past, and then he's also dying because he's tricking this really nice man into breaking so many laws.
And Billy has no idea. He's like, "I'm my sickly wife." And Billy's like, "I'm so sorry to hear that your wife is so sickly.
I have the space for you."
And Nye's like, "I'll pay you, obviously." And Billy, this precious baby angel,
not.
"You will not pay for anything. You're just coming along, bud.
I'm
going anyway. You're my best friend."
Okay, listen. So we're gonna motor through this escape because it actually, like, he gets her out, okay? And she can barely walk. And he takes her back to the inn, and they almost get caught several times. And they get into that inn.
On their way back, she does break into Fitzroy's room and steals whatever was in that box that he was so possessive of.
Right. And then she comes back out, and he's convinced that she's going to go, like, for revenge. And she's like, "I'm not, you fuck. I'm not killing him. Just, like, get me there, and then I'll get out." So he gets her to his inn room so that they can, like, do a bit of a heal and some rest and some bath and some eating foods. And they do all of that, including the agonizing healing. And he can only do a little at a time because she's so weak, and it takes energy from the person who's being healed. So then as she's laying down to go to sleep, he's about to go look out the window again because he sees a bunch of Marines. And she's like, "Please don't leave me tonight. Like, just tonight, please don't leave me." And he's like, "Absolutely." And so he gets in there and snuggles with her. And he's like, this is T minus, however
She
long until she
also-
hates me again.
When she gets into the room, Barnacle goes and snuggles her, and she
bursts
starts
into tears.
sobbing.
Oh. And it's the first time he's ever seen her cry because she holds it back. Like, it's a pride thing for her. And so seeing her show this giant emotion over Barnacle.
Well, and he's decided that even if she never recovers from her time with the iron, because both of them are like, what? How do you come back from this? Like, maybe you won't.
Yeah.
And he has decided that he'll serve her for the rest of her life if she doesn't recover, and he'll be the strength that she lost.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, good, Blackwood.
Yeah, you fucked up bad.
Deserve to be her strength for the rest of her life. I don't give a shit if she does recover.
Yeah.
Guess what?
No,
Life for a life, bud.
You're
You're
indebted
hers.
to her. Absolutely. You're her manservant forever.
Yes. But yeah, so like, I don't remember exactly what it is you said. It was just very important to me that we find out from her point of view that yes, she wanted his warmth, which is what she stated.
Yeah.
But it turns out that she actually just wanted him for comfort.
Yeah.
Like to comfort her. And she keeps talking about how weak and pathetic she is for it.
Oh.
Babe
and I'm like, no, lady, you're just in a really bad way. And you deserve that comfort no matter what.
This is the point. This is the point where I started to realize, oh, we're not getting an HEA.
Yeah.
There's no fucking HEA.
Yeah,
There's
because
no
we're
fucking
cool
way.
91% into this book. And I don't know at this point that this book ends at 93%, okay?
We have 2 chapters left.
I cannot. So he realizes that, like, all of the Marines have probably been around because they already know that she's escaped. They just don't want to, like, make an embarrassing, hubbub about it. And so they're, like, trying to
you lost your main prisoner.
Yeah, your most notorious prisoner.
Also, bing boom bong.
Okay.
Locking up your most notorious prisoner that the crowds cheer for.
Right.
Wouldn't you have a little bit more
some dudes
watching?
Maybe some dudes under her and over her?
A better lock.
Oh, sure. Yeah. He breaks that shit with a fireplace poker.
I just, prisoner logistics.
Yeah.
Bing boom bong.
So they are meandering, or well, they're not meandering. They're doing a clandestine sneak down to the docks. They're almost to the docks. She can smell the salty spray of the ocean. And then they hear a troop of Marines. And those Marines are gonna come find out who they are. And so they're already like up in this nook on in a door. And she says, if they come over here, you have to kiss me. And he says, what? And she's like, you have to kiss me. And their footsteps get closer. And his kiss at first is really tentative. And it breaks her soul that, like, he's so tentative and careful and apologetic. Like, even the kiss is regretful.
Is an apology.
Yeah. And then she, they have to make it good for their audience. So she ends up putting her legs around him at some point because they're like,
He's got
do
his
we
hand
interrupt?
up on the thigh underneath their dress?
Oh, yeah. And we just see this running commentary of the Marines deciding whether or not to break it up so that they can find out who they are. And then finally,
and it basically ends with the Marines being like, get some, give her some from me.
Yeah, yeah. So they end up on that boat. I know. They end up on that boat and they're supposed to be playing the Newlyweds.
Of note,
yeah,
really quickly, their kiss, specifically, he stroked her cheek, smearing something wet up into her temple as his hand slid into her hair, and he angled her face for better access. Still slow, still gentle, their tongues brushed, the touch almost reverent. Heart clamoring, painful, fast, she clung to him. No, it felt like goodbye, and she wasn't ready for that.
I know, she's so conflicted because she keeps on telling him, don't apologize to me. It reminds me that you did something awful, and I need to be able to forget that in order to let you help me escape. So, just wait until we're out of this, and then you can say whatever you need to say, but, like, you did something unforgivable. And he fully knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're playing the newlyweds on the boat, and they're like on the deck looking out over the city as it fades away into the distance. And he tells her that, like, he's hers, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, congratulations. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. And then they successfully make it away from Portsmouth.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at him and says, your family needs money. Hells, you need money. I need revenge. And I wouldn't say no to the money either. So no, I'm not going after Drake's treasure. Head cocked, she flashed him a smile, all brash confidence. We are. Because her revenge on Fitzroy is going to be finding Drake's treasure.
Yeah, the thing he wanted all his life and never got. You dick.
Guess what? Lady Vice is going to get it. Lady Vice is going to get it.
And then her songs are going to be even better.
The end.
The end. Oh, yeah, listener, because the whole deal with Fitzroy and the other dude is that they approached the crown to be like, we're like rolling with the pirate queen. If you give us a metric fuck ton of money and land and like maybe a title or something like that, we'll totally give her to you. And so that's why he was worried about telling Fitzroy about changing the plan into making her a privateer, because he thought that, like, if they did that, there wouldn't be as big of a reward for Fitzroy and he would not be into it. So, like, This dick is all just, he's Scrooge McDuckin all over not Britain.
Yep.
But he'll get his in the end, you know?
He better get his. If he doesn't get it by the end of book 4,
here,
rioting.
Clare Sager, hey, listen up. If Fitzroy doesn't get it, we're rioting.
And by rioting, I mean complaining heavily behind a paywall.
That's
on
right.
Patreon.
Oh my God.
End.
The end. Okay, Sabrina, what is your lady love?
My lady love is a really cold bottle of water.
Ooh.
Like, you know, when the water is so cold, like, I want it to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it is officially that time of year where it's freaking 90 degrees out.
Yeah.
My AC in my house can barely keep up. And you know what? There is not a single better feeling in the world than getting because I usually just drink tap, right? I refill my water bottle just out of the sink. Yeah. And I don't use ice in my house. I don't think I've had an ice tray or ice in my house in something like a decade. I just don't do ice.
Okay.
And so, boy, when I pull that frosty, ice cold water bottle out of that fridge and proceed to chug it like I've never drank a liquid in my entire life.
Yeah.
That's my lady love.
I love
so
that.
good. I'm literally, the minute we get off of here, I'm going
to chug some ice cold water.
And ice cold water. Mm-hmm.
I dig it.
What's your lady love?
Okay. Wow. This book was the perfect timing to make me, I talked about it earlier, to make me really, really nostalgic for when we did Dangerous Tides with Bonkers Romance. And I've got big news for everybody because when this episode comes out, it will be one day until their next Kickstarter goes.
Ooh.
And that is the Black Rose auction. So I had to step away from Bonkers this year, but Katie and Jenny have just like what they've accomplished this year with the art and the swag and the books. Like this is the best one yet, for sure. It's so incredible. All of the stories are fairy tale retellings set at an illicit, possibly magical, underground, like black market auction. Mm-hmm. Is there a virginity auction at some point? Probably. Who knows, really? Is there a stalker that I've been salivating over that Katie has written that's also a second generation Wicked Villains character situation? Yeah, okay? And all of it is happening tomorrow. So Black Rose Auction, they've got, oh man, they came up with these metal bookmarks that are so beautiful. It's ridiculous. I'm so excited for everything that's happening. So yeah, go and see if you want to support the Kickstarter. Just like last year, you can do the ebook is one tier, or you can do the physical books as well. They're doing paperbacks and hardcovers like normal. They're doing those signed editions like we did last year. And I admire them so much. They did some incredible work. And hot damn, they really pulled it off, you know? So I will link the Kickstarter in the show notes. And everybody, at the very least, even if you don't have it in the budget, just like go and drool, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just like drool a little bit over the art that's already out. So that's my lady love. The Black Rose Auction.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love getting drunk on rum on a beach and dancing with your pirate family.
Hell yeah. Keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love making yourself the main character, no matter what the situation is.
No
Valor Chen.
matter what.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Melody Carlisle and Sabrina Bradley. Editing is done by Melody Carlisle.
Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fonts, and our art is by ultra-talented author Kate Pryor. If you like our show, remember to follow us on your favorite podcast app, rate us 5 stars, leave a nice review, and of course, tell all your friends about us, even if they don't read romance.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast. You can also find us on Instagram @heavingbosoms, on TikTok @heaving_bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult.
Head over to our website to sign up for our newsletter, get our Reading Embrace printable, and check out my audiobooks at heavingbosoms.com. All right, we'll be back next week with more swoons and snark. See you then.